This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Most Valuable Promotions and Netflix are hosting a blockbuster triple headliner Saturday, May 16th. Ronda Rousey returns to face fellow women's MMA pioneer Gina Carano in the main event. Plus co-mains Nate Diaz versus Mike Perry. And the best heavyweight in the world, Francis Ngannou versus Felipe Lins. Watch Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano, live only on Netflix. Saturday, May 16th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time.
LinkedIn is pretty amazing at helping you grow your small business. We cannot stop your new clients from emailing you at 3 a.m. We can help you sell, market, and hire in one place. We cannot help you be in 3 places at once. And while we can't help you organize your calendar, LinkedIn can help you land more clients so you have a calendar to organize. Grow your small business on LinkedIn. Learn more at linkedin.com/smallbusiness.
Morning decisions. How about a creamy mocha frappuccino drink? Or sweet vanilla? Smooth caramel maybe? Or a white chocolate mocha? Whichever you choose, delicious coffee awaits. Find Starbucks Frappuccino drinks wherever you buy your groceries.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Wynn. Welcome to How Are the Podcast, and you join us as we build up to the final road trip of this brilliant season, which means that there is a slight sense of sadness that it's coming to an end, because the dream of European qualification was always a long shot, but now it looks pretty unlikely, especially since we're looking for our first win in 4 games and our first away win since we beat that lot up the road. And our opponents are in a similar position as we travel to the brand new Hill Dickinson Stadium for the final home game of its first season, with the Toffees also tripping over themselves at the business end of the season as they are without a win in 5 games. So with both teams struggling for a win in the 2 previous games this season ending in a draw, it suggests another close game that might well end up in another draw. But thankfully, to help us with all of that, we have the help of Stephen Hornby from Everton fan site and podcast, the Toffee Blues. Hello, Stephen.
Hey, mate, you okay?
Yeah, I'm not bad. How's it going for you?
Not too bad. I mean, of course, it's a bit of a mixed season for Everton, because obviously we're a lot better than we have been in the past few years, but I think the standards we hold ourselves to, and you know, the Sunderland fans will be able to sympathise with us as well when you've got neighbours that are a bit louder than you want them to be, even when they might not be as good as they let on. You know, it can be tough. It can be tough, but listen, there's no glory unto Zia, Chris.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's nice when you can put them in their place like we haven't done a double over them this season.
Yeah,
But
very jealous of you.
we're going to be drinking out on that one for quite a few years. But yeah, like I mentioned, mate, penultimate game of the season. Are you feeling a bit gutted it's ending, or are you ready for a break ahead of the World Cup?
Do you know what? I've really sort of enjoyed this season in a lot of ways. I think it's been a pretty good season. I think it's been a case of there's been a lot riding on most of the games. I think from an Everton point of view, there was a point in about January where I was like, can we just end this now, because it was getting worse. The Chelsea win at home was a really good day. We've had a couple of tough days. You know, the Liverpool game was just the worst one to take. The City one, I can't believe we didn't win that. But look, I'm looking at it and I'm hopeful going into next season. I think our team does need a break. We're getting spread quite thin now across certain areas of the pitch. But again, we've got the World Cup to tide us over, and it feels like you're never short of football nowadays. But as someone who, sports-wise, is pretty much football and nothing else, I don't really have much when it's not a World Cup or a Euros to tide me over.
Yeah, I hate those summers when they come around. But anyway, before we get back into the football side, I just want you to tell us a little bit about the Toffee Blues. I mean, how long has that been going?
Yeah, we're a fan site. I've been going since I joined in 2019 or 2020 when Carlo Ancelotti was the manager. And we've always just been a sort of a YouTube channel. We have a website where we do some written bits as well. And of course, we're on all the usual stuff like TikTok and Instagram as well. Yeah, we're just a sort of a fan site that sort of relies on really, we don't really try and do much like clickbaity stuff or stuff that's really sensationalizing anything. It's fans getting together and sort of um, chatting about the club and trying to sort of rationalize everything and, having a bit, looking back on it with a bit of a sort of trying to take our blue tinted glasses off a little bit. But no, we're a well back channel. We've just hit 17,000 on YouTube, I think, last week. But listen, I'm just one of the people who makes it up. There's absolutely tons of Evertonians who've worked on it for years. We've got people all over the world as well. We've got people in the States. I think we've got a lad in Colombia as well. Since we had James Rodriguez, and then we got a big fan base over there. So yeah, I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger, but yeah, we're all sort of just in it for the love of the game, really, even come rain or shine. I mean, there's been a couple of times when the last thing you want to talk about is Everton. When we've got absolutely. I remember one time where we got battered by them lot, Newcastle, 4-1 or 5-1 at home, about 2 games from the end of the season. And I thought we were down. And there's a video of me sitting in the back of the Gladys Street, just a ton of empty blue seats behind me, vlogging it. And thankfully I did it inside the ground because I thought it'd be a bit less busy inside the ground than it will be outside. So I'm thinking we were down, and you can see the fear in my eyes. And yeah, we sort of have tried to, yeah, we try and put a positive spin on anything that the club sort of does, and we try and sort of, yeah, we like to get fans of other clubs on. We like to keep things nice and light-hearted. And like I said, my role mainly within the Toffee Blues is speaking to people like you, Chris, people from other clubs. So you meet a lot of different people. You've got to sort of put your bias to one side, but I definitely have favourites that I like speaking to.
Well, I mean, I know exactly what you mean when you say there's times you don't want to record. I remember in our League One days when we'd scraped a draw at Accrington Stanley or something like that in midweek, and we were getting on at 10:30, 11 at night to record a reaction podcast or something. There, I mean, that was pretty painful. But anyway, getting back into Everton, this new stadium, I haven't been yet, and I love Goodison. I ended up there with Villa Park as one of the best grounds in terms of having that character about it. But everyone who's been to the Hill Dickinson, fans I've talked to, journalists from our cup game, have said it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, how have the fans taken to it?
Well, it's sort of I think the fans are warming up a little bit to it in the last couple of months. We had a really poor run of form around January time where we could not get a point on the board at home. We were absolutely shocking. I think now it's sort of, we had that big win against Chelsea, the 3-0 win, that lifted the stadium a little bit more. Beto and Barry have started playing better, which I think has helped, but I think the stadium needs a little bit more bedding in time. I absolutely love it. I mean, I've been lucky enough to go to all the home games this season, bar one, and I think it certainly is amazing. And I know even me Liverpool mate who was at the derby a few weeks ago, he come out and he through gritted teeth, he told me that he thought it was quite nice as well. But yeah, I mean, yeah, sort of have to pinch yourself a bit, Chris, when you sat there in the fan plaza outside, having a nice cold pint and it's a sunny day and you've just beaten Chelsea 3-0 and you're looking up at the new stadium and you just think like, God, I need to rub my eyes a little bit here. It's a bit like a mirage in the middle of the desert because you think back to, like you said, with the Accrington Stanley stuff, of course, completely different. But I remember being when we were 2-0 down against Crystal Palace and we had 45 minutes to stay up and we got 3 and stayed up. And I always think back to that moment, looking at it now, thinking, God, how lucky are we to have this stadium. And even though 10th in the league, I would have taken that at the start of the season. We've gone from 15th to 13th. We're now 10th. We're going to try and get in the top half, finish in the top half of the table. I said 8th at the start of the season. is what I wanted. So I haven't been disappointed, but I have been a little bit disappointed in the way we've played at home, and it's let us down a little bit. But the games at home, we've had some big games there. You know, we beat Forest 3-0. The first game against Brighton was just an amazing day. The game against Chelsea. So it's been a bit 50-50, I'd say. Everyone's quite happy with the people are sort of starting to get into the rhythm of things now. But of course, it's never going to be Goodison Park. And I hate when people compare it to Goodison Park, because it would be like, comparing the Stadium of Light to Roker Park. I mean, it's such a famous stadium. And of course, there's, Sunderland fans I speak to. Of course, there's fans my age that only remember the Stadium of Light. So there's now me remembering Goodison. I went to Goodison for 18 years, but I never really saw any real success there. I saw us qualify for Europe a couple of times. So I think for the older supporters, it was a bit tougher. They'd seen the Andy Grays and the Alan Balls and all them play for Everton there. Really, I think for me, it was a case of being sick of being stuck in the we needed something to sort of bring ourselves into the modern era. And listen, I'm a massive nostalgia merchant. I love anything nostalgic. I'm a very nostalgic Evertonian. But when you haven't got much to be nostalgic about in your lifetime, you've sort of got to put that to one side a little bit and move on. But the new stadium, it's getting better every single week. And I know the away fans have been enjoying it, certainly because most of the results have gone their way. But no, it's getting there, Chris, but it'll take a few years before we're really used to it.
Yeah, I was just about to say, because I mean, like I say, I am old enough to remember us move from Roker Park to the Stadium of Light, and I was exactly the same as you. I remember we opened the ground against Ajax in a friendly, and I was looking around thinking, I couldn't believe this was Sunderland Stadium, and thinking almost like we'd stolen it for a day or something like that. But but it did take Sunderland a couple of years to kind of transfer that Roker Park, atmosphere, and find out which areas of the ground were the noise generating areas. I mean, has that been something Everton fans are kind of working out still this season? Have they been scattered all over the place?
Well, I think when the stadium was designed, a man called Dan Mice, an architect who designed it, took a lot of fan feedback in. So the fans have been feeding back on how they want the ground to look since 2017 until it opens in 2025. Everything as far down as what beer is on sale in the ground has been chosen by Evertonians. And, we get surveys all the time. There'd be sort of focus groups. And Dan Mice, the architect, what we really wanted to say was we wanted one big home end, similar to that of Borussia Dortmund. And he delivered on that. It's as steep as regulations allow in England. So we knew where the noisy bit was going to be from the beginning. People are figuring out, with the scale of the ground, where they like to be. So I'm quite high up. So next season I'm going to move a bit lower down towards sort of the top tier of the stand, but more towards the end of it, because the stairs are a bit of a climb. It is a bit of a climb. I will tell you that. But the club have been really good with things like that. The club have allowed us to have a season ticket window where we can move. So we can, you can sort of put your seat up and say, I want to move. Someone else wants to move and take your seat. So the club are aware that that there's supporters are going to want to move around a little bit. People are starting to get used to it though. The pubs are getting a lot busier. When on the first game against Brighton, there was only about 4 pubs, and now there's about 15 or something. They just keep opening every single game. People are finding out a bit more of their match day routines, how to get from here to there. So yeah, I think at the start it was a bit, what it did feel a bit like, God, this feels like a cup final, like a neutral ground. Remember walking up and looking around at it, and the scale of it just absolutely hit me. I thought, bloody hell, this is like playing at Wembley. You do sort of get used to it, and you get more used to it, but it's sort of becoming now a bit more, because it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful part of Liverpool. The supporters are getting used to it. Some of the coach welcomes have been really good. So yeah, I think we didn't have as much of a bedding in period in that way because a lot of it was designed with fan feedback. So we sort of knew, you knew that the people who sat in the lower Gladys were going to get tickets in the lower South stand. You knew that people who sat in the Park End were probably going to sit in the North stand. People just sort of took what was sort of relative to their seat at Goodison. But yeah, people are getting more used to it now, and they're getting more used to their match day routines, which is nice because I think that helps, sort of subconsciously helps the whole club. It helps the team as well because the fans feel more confident in the environment that they're in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you mentioned Ancelotti very quickly, or very briefly earlier on, but because at one point, over the previous 5, 6, 7 years or whatever, Everton have been one of the Premier League's big spenders, and then they kind of went the long way round before coming full circle and coming back to David Moyes. I mean, were the fans okay with that? Because you'd been throughout this journey, you've been to the Ancelottis, you've done the Frank Lampards, and then you're back with David Moyes. Were the fans like, okay, this is a steady, pair of hands. We're back and it feels safe now?
It was the case of, so Moyes left in 2013 and Martinez came in. And Roberto Martinez, honestly, if he hired a defense, and I swear to God to you, Chris, if he'd hired a defensive coach, I don't know where we would have been. Honestly, I think we'd have won the Champions League by now or something. We were absolutely lightning going forward. We were fantastic. We had Lukaku and Barkley and everyone. The only thing was we'd have to score 5 because we'd concede 4. So he came in, and I think the whole club went, "Oh my God, we've been watching David Moyes football for years where it's you win 1-0 at home, you win 1-0 away, you draw 0-0 away, you know, and you're picking up points slowly." We went from that to, "Oh, we're beating Man United, or we're beating, um, we're going away and beating Man United, we're beating Arsenal 3-0 at home, or we're beating Chelsea or someone like that." And it was a case of we're playing such good football, yeah. And then the cracks started to show. During that season, it was a case of, God, I'm so glad we got rid of David Moyes because now we're watching really good football and we're fit in the table and we're going to qualify for the Champions League. We didn't qualify for the Champions League. We fell short by a point. 72 points and we didn't get in the Champions League, Chris. So in that position, we were like, right, this is it now. He's going to build a dynasty. And David Moyes had just been sacked by Man United, and we were like, this is perfect. It's the perfect storm. Everton are back. We're going to win the league title. And then, for some reason, he just stopped defending. And it got to the point then where Moyes would go to Sunderland and stuff like that. Roberto got sacked when he threw away the semi-final of the FA Cup. So I'm going the long way round now to tell you the story. He threw the semi-final of the FA Cup out when he took off a centre-back and put on Kevin Morales in added time, but it was 1-1 when we were 30 seconds from extra time. And the fans just completely turned on him. So we got rid of him. We got in Ronald Koeman, who spent a lot of money, got us into Europe. And then the next season, again, the fall off again. Lukaku left. It was a case of, God, right now no one's available. Let's get a stopgap in. It was Sam Allardyce. Allardyce won us a couple of matches. It was a case, okay, let's do a rebuilding project. Marco Silva came in. Silva, the standards slowly started to come down a little bit. We were 8th in the table when we sacked him. But we just got beat 1-0 by Liverpool's kids in the FA Cup, and I think that really unsettled it. Remember Curtis Jones scored when he was about 17. And then he left 1920. That was when Carlo came in. So at this point, Moyes has been round the houses to you guys. He's been to United. He's been, I think he'd had his first spell at West Ham by this point. And everyone was going, should we get David Moyes back? Should we get David Moyes back? And the fans went, no, 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 no. The last thing we want is a step back and go back to David Moyes because he plays negative football. That was the whole song was stuck with Moyes playing football the negative way. That was the song they sang to him when he was at Man United. So, no, don't want David Moyes back at all. Carlo Ancelotti becomes available, and we're going, oh my God, rubbing our hands together. Carlo Ancelotti wants to manage Everton. He comes to Everton, gets us into a good position. We threw it away last couple of games of the season. The second Real Madrid came call and he just left. So it was a case of like, oh, right, well, that doesn't feel very nice. It felt a bit like, I don't know, like the ultimate sort of feeling of betrayal. And then you go, oh, right, well, Carlo's gone. Can we get Moyes back? No, Moyes is at West Ham again. I'll tell you what, let's get Frank Lampard. I don't know how that. Oh, sorry, it was Rafa Benitez. Rafa Benitez, just a poor from the beginning. One of Liverpool's greatest managers, and by far and away Everton's worst ever. He was absolutely shocking, Chris. Frank Lampard comes in. Frank Lampard, fair play to Frank. I think Frank's quite well liked by the Evertonians because he sort of fought with his heart. He wasn't a very good manager, but wore his heart on his sleeve. I still have a little bit against him for the goal he scored against us in the cup final in 2009. So I still reserve a little bit, but I am happy to see him back in the Premier League with Coventry. He gets sacked because we lost 5-0 away at Palace in the FA Cup. And then Sean Dyche comes in, steadies the ship. But Dyche, whenever there was a way to go a bit higher up, Dyche would fail. So it'd be like, we'd go, oh, we beat Liverpool. And then we'd lose the next 5 games. And for Dyche, it was his remit was to keep the club in the Premier League, which he did. And he's very he's liked by Evertonians because he did that. And we don't know where we'd be without him. Dyche leaves, and we're thinking, right, this is it now. We're safe in the Premier League. We've got a pretty good budget. The Friedkin Group had just bought the club, the American owners. Mashiri had left, the one who spent all the money, Chris, on, your Rooneys and your Sigurdssons and your Claessens and all them. And then it's a really, really tough thing. Do we gamble and go and get a sexy manager from Italy or something like that? Or do we take David Moyes? And everyone was thinking, oh, that negative football looks quite good right now. Because you start getting nostalgic and you start thinking about SK Brann at home in the UEFA Cup in 2008, and you start thinking about, the 7-1 against Sunderland at Goodison. You start thinking about them and you go, oh, go on then. So he comes back and really, he's done a really good job because he's put us back on the map in terms of we're not a club fighting relegation anymore. He's picked us up points on the road, which is something that Everton have never been famously very good at doing. It's the home form that needs to improve, but I think for that case, it's a bit like, you've got an old dog, the dog's on its last legs, and the dog walks past you, and you go, God, you're on your last legs, but I really do love you deep down. It's a little bit of that. So, he's done brilliantly. I think he's done brilliantly well, and he's still bringing young players through. He's not throwing all the money away. He's doing pretty well. And you're thinking he's by no means on his last legs. By that I mean that he's sort of, he's not the sexy option, like I said, but he's doing the right things. He's picking the right players. He's guiding the club in a better direction. And I think it's one of them where sometimes a manager suits a football club. Like, sometimes you just get that. I know Niall Quinn's quite a big favourite with Sunderland supporters. And so Niall Quinn's one of them. You see him at Sunderland matches. I always think of Martin O'Neill when I think back to Sunderland. But I look at it and I think, sometimes two things go together perfectly. I think that's just been the case. And I think now we've sort of learnt our lesson and we're not going to try and hound David Moyes out at the first opportunity again.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you should mention that because I think Martin O'Neill's time at Sunderland started to go wrong after we got beat off you in the cup
Oh, yeah,
at the
yeah.
Stadium of Light. It went south after that. But anyway, before we get into more detail about the current season, I think it's time for us to take a quick break. So we'll be back very soon.
Go further with the American Express Business Gold Card. Earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels when you book through AmexTravel.com. Whether your destination is a business conference or a client meeting, your purchases will help you earn more points for future trips. Experience more on your travels with Amex Business Gold. Terms apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
And welcome back to How We're the Podcast. And we're just about to get into how inconsistent Everton have been this season because I was looking at Everton's season so far, Stephen, and it's been very different to Sunderland's because if you look at Sunderland's, I think we were only beaten 4 times in the first 20 games. So we were brilliant in the first half of the season. And, well, let's just say we've lost a few more since. But Everton have been consistently inconsistent. You know, I've seen that they've won no more than 2 on the bounce. They've lost no more than 2 successive games. They haven't drawn more than 2 in a row. Has it been a bit frustrating that way? You thought, right, we're going to put a run together now. It just hasn't happened.
Oh, 100%. It's infuriating, to be honest, because we always win one away from home, and then we'll lose the next one at home, or vice versa. I think it's just we're a terrible team for not capitalising on opportunities to go further and to sort of put ourselves back up in the picture. We always just seem to throw it away. You can literally point to last Sunday against Crystal Palace. Should have won that game. 2-1 up. Palace are on the beach. I mean, you just watched them against City last night. They looked like they'd won a competition to play there. And we couldn't get the job done. And that's the case. An extra 2 points going into this weekend would have made it a lot more interesting for us. So, yeah, disappointing on a whole. And, yeah, consistently inconsistent.
Was that game at the Stadium of Light when we drew 1-1, was that a good example? Because first off, you were kind of completely in control of the game. And I'm sure, was it Barry or Beto missed an absolute sitter? I think it was Barry, wasn't it? Missed an absolute sitter. And that should have really, we could have been out of sight in that first half.
Yeah, but yous were really good. And I was made up with a point there. Because yous were really good. You didn't lose the home game till February, did you? So I think, yeah, it was one of them. The good examples are just like the 1-1 draw against Leeds at home. Throwing away points at times. 4-1 at home to Brentford. That was a good example. But, we go away and get a great big win. The best game of the season for me was the 1-0 away at Old Trafford. But then I can't remember what game was next. But we just couldn't put a run together. And that was the problem. I'd rather go on a run of about 5 games and then lose 4 just to be able to feel what it's like to have that run. But do you know what? It's nice being able to not get too high and then get dead low. But right now it's like we're desperate for a win, and we really want to win these last two games. It's really important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, looking at Beto, I mentioned Beto and Barry. Beto's got 9 in the league. Barry's got 8. They seem to, from the outside, have come in for a bit of stick from Everton fans. I don't know how right that is, but are you expecting them to still be leading the line next season, or do you think the club's going to look to maybe cash in and see what's around?
I think if a striker becomes available, then yeah. Barry's not ready to be the number 9 on his own. Beto puts a lot of hard work in and does score goals. But then both of them aren't consistent enough. So we need a number 9. We need like the player that's going to just put the ball in the net and do nothing else, because That's probably what's cost us, to be honest, a lot of points this season. But I think both of them will still be at the club next season. But it just depends on. But we need a striker, really. We need a number 9.
Yeah. Well, as you said earlier, 10th at the moment, with just Spurs to play at their place after Sunderland. So it's going to be a mid-table finish. I mean, is this kind of par for the season, or would you say it's almost above par where you were expecting to be?
Well, like I said 8th, but I was being hopeful, so I think it's par for the season. I said 8th. We still could finish 8th. I said the goal should be 8th because that would have got Conference League. So yeah, I think 10th. Listen, I'd take 10th now, because it's a good foundation to build on for next season. Listen, I remember looking at the table after the Newcastle game at the end of last season, and we were 13th, and I thought, bloody hell, we're going to get a nosebleed here. Couldn't believe we were 13th. So 10th, I'd take. I'd like to finish above Chelsea. I think that'd be a nice thing. Try and push for a European place, but you know what, Chris? I think for both teams, a European place might come a little bit too early, and it'll just be a case of you got to go fly to Poland on a Thursday and then play, Brighton away on a Sunday. It's too much.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, but I'm not going to say no if it comes along. That's the thing. But yeah, I mean, I was looking last 6 seasons before this one. I mean, you've only finished in the top 10 once. So, I mean, based on, the seasons that have, finishing 17th and 15th in the last 3 seasons, I mean, 10th is a really good, solid start, especially when you've got the upheaval of moving stadiums, because actually sometimes that can come into it and cause some damage in some ways. So it's a good, solid season, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it could be a lot worse, and I think a lot of credit needs to go to David Moyes. So yeah, I mean, looking at it, you've had a lot of outside things have happened. The Friedkins have come in and bought the club. You've had Jack Grealish who got injured. Much earlier than we would have liked. He missed half the season. Grealish could have used him in a few of the last couple of games. The new stadium. Of course, there's still the worry of PSR after the points deduction, so we're still trying to be careful with that. So 10th is, 10th's a pretty good marker now to put our place there and then go next season, right, well, let's beat that.
Yeah. Well, it's not very often David Moyes is going to get credit on a Sunderland podcast, so make the most of it, Stephen, while you can, to be honest. There's nothing very. But yeah, I mean, looking at the game, last home game of the season, of course, at the Hill Dickinson, is there quite a bit of emphasis on ending on a positive note, because it's like it's almost a bookmark on how you end that first season at the new stadium?
I'm not sure. I think, it probably will be. I think the supporters don't get too up for these games because we've lost so many of them and drawn so many of them this season. Against clubs that were in and around our sort of place and round mid-table. When it's quite an even game. The Sunderland game in the FA Cup was really a low point for me this season as well. But it's one of them. If we do well, if we get a couple of goals, if we squeeze past Sunderland and win, it will be a case of the fans will be really happy. They'll get a nice clap off at the end, and we'll be getting ready for next season. If they lose, it'll just be go home, try to forget about it, and then get up for it again in the summer when a big signing comes in, and then we can start dreaming again. So yeah, there will be emphasis on it. Of course, there always is in the last game, especially with the fact that Europe's not a complete goner, and we're sort of an outsider now. So Everton usually do a little bit better when we're the underdogs. So that'll be the case again this weekend.
Yeah, I wish you'd won that penalty shootout now, because it only led to the heartache of getting beat off Port Vale in the FA Cup, which was our low point of the season. So yeah. But in terms of David Moyes, looking at the current situation, mid-table, looking at then the season, well, do you reckon he'll take the shackles off? Do you reckon it's going to be on the front foot attacking?
I won't think it. I think he's tried a lot of things recently. Tim Eric-Boonham's played really well in the middle of the park the last couple of games. Merlin Roll's been really good. He's the young German lad that we brought in on loan. I think it's the case of we've triggered his obligation to buy option. So he's getting a bit more game time now. He made a few loan appearances, but he couldn't really get in the team. I think Moyes has now gone, right, well, we have to buy him, so we may as well put him in the team and try and work on him. So he's been playing him off the right, and he's been playing really well, and the fans have really taken to him. So I think for that reason, it's a bit more exciting, he might try some new things. Jared Brandtwaite's out injured. We've been screaming at him all year to put Nathan Patterson at right back because, Jake O'Brien, as good as a player he is, he's not a right back. So yeah, it might be a case of him trying a couple of different things, and having a look at it for next season in terms of like which players are, can play in different positions. But the real one for me is that he's trying his Merlin role, and I'm really happy he's given that a go.
What about, I think it was just out of interest, you were going through some of those players. Is it the big signing from Southampton? And I'm trying to remember, is it Tyler Diblin?
Tyler Diblin, yeah, of course.
What's happening there? Do you expect him to kick on next season?
Yeah, well, I expected him to play a bit more this season than he has, but I think with him, it's just been a case of Moyes has bought him, looked at him, and I think Moyes won't play a player until he's ready. And that's been the case with Merlin Roll. He's given him a go. I wouldn't be surprised if Diblin had a bit more input in these last two games because he'll be wanting to just, like you said, give players a go, give them a try, see how they do. So I'd love to see Tyler Diblin play, but when he has played, he's looked a bit off the pace. He had one good game away at Nottingham Forest where he played really well. So, but listen, these are all, squad options. It's having 11 players in the Premier League. Having 11 good players is useless. You want to have 25, 30 good players. So he could have been involved more, yeah, but, all it takes is one big goal and the fans will take to him and he'll be playing every week. So, form comes and goes in the Premier League at this point, and it's turning a lot more into like American football, isn't it, Chris? Where it's more about your squad than your players. Used to have a 1 to 11 that plays every game. That's not the case anymore at all. It's very surprising if a player plays 38 games now.
Yeah. Well, look, we don't ask for a prediction on this podcast because obviously anything can happen, and as well, because this game's got a draw written all over it, to be honest. And the other thing is Sunderland have won on just 2 occasions. We've played Everton on Merseyside this century after out of about 18 games, I think. But have you got a good feeling about how the game's going to pan out in terms of, do you think Everton's going to be on the front foot, and do you think we're going to have to dig in on the edge of the box, catch you on the break, or do you think it's going to be pretty even? How do you see the game going?
I hope it's going to be a good, entertaining game of football where even if we don't win it, we play well. And we sort of, can look at it with a bit more of like I said, putting the spin on it for next season. I can see it being quite a good match for the neutral, to be honest, because I think there's a lot of good players in both teams. I think Enzo Lefebvre is absolutely magnificent. I think he's a real top player, and I think he's just what Everton need, really. That's what we sort of lacked. Dewsbury Hall's a really good player, and of course I think he's probably up there for our player of the season. He's in that conversation. So yeah, there's players on both sides. Of course, and Ndai's always dangerous, and I think Brian Brobby's brilliant. So I think it's like looking at both teams. I think it's just going to be a good game of football, Chris, and it's going to be one where both teams are going to be quite attacking. Sunderland love going forward. We saw that in the game at Hill Dickinson in January, and we saw it also at the Stadium of Light where you got that goal back. And look, Sunderland are dangerous, an extremely dangerous team, and Sunderland have every right to state the claim that they should be higher in the league than what they are now. I mean, you looked at it, 10 games in, it looked like you were going on the Champions League. So it's 2 good teams, 2 good Premier League teams. It should be good value for money. I just hope it's a nice day. It's we can get a few goals and we can sit back and relax because I just don't want them to ruin me weekends again.
Well, I assume you're going to be there and you're looking forward to it?
Yeah. I mean, last one of this season, so I'll make the most of it for the next few months. Yeah. So again, it's always been good to look forward to because, you're going to Hill Dickinson Stadium because it's always a good day out at the very least, even if before the match and during the match. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I always love playing Sunderland. I've got a mate who's a Sunderland fan, and we always chat before and after the game as well. So yeah, it should be one that hopefully, it's nice that there's nothing too big riding on it. It's not like we have to win or we have to score so many goals, or there's not too much pressure on. But it's one that I just hope that the fans can give it a good send off for this season, and put, like I've said, stake the claim that next season we'll do a bit better at the new stadium, because that's what's let us down, and that's why we're not in a European place as the home form.
Yeah. Well, look, other than the results, of course, I hope you have a fantastic weekend and day on Sunday. But it just leaves me to say thank you very much for your time, Stephen. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
No problem. Best of luck for the rest of the season. And yeah, I'm made up you come up to the Premier League and going to be back here next season. It's nice to see. There was a point where we thought every club that came up were going to go straight back down. But yeah, I think most Evertonians will tell you they've got a warm spot for Sunderland. So yeah, that's the case. So yeah, best of luck, Chris. And of course, yeah, come and have a look over at our channel for the reaction. If you win, you can watch us all whinging after this.
Well, yeah, and good luck on the last day of the season as well, because I tell you what, if Spurs are still in the mix, everyone's going to be watching that.
Yeah, it'll just be just like us to mess it up and let them stay up, wouldn't it? It'd be just like us to roll over. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be a good one to watch that. But thanks again, Stephen, and thanks again, everyone, for listening. Don't forget, we'll have more build-up with the pod on the morning of the game, as well as immediate reaction after the final whistle on the Roker Report website, as well as a match reaction pod that should drop soon after the final whistle. So look out for all of that. But from us, it's bye for now.